Peace.
Peace. You already know what it is, man. It's Plotting Progress Podcast, episode 24. I got my esteemed brothers with me, DeLon and brother Kyline with me. How y'all doing, bro?
100.
Man, bless.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. Man, we've been having some fire episodes, man. Just real and enlightening. We've been having a lot of dope, awesome guests, a lot of dope topics, and shit. Tonight we're just gonna dialogue real quick. We ain't gonna be too long-winded. Just get off a couple of things we've been discussing in the background.
Yes.
So let's
Yes,
see. Let's do the
indeed.
icebreaker. I got the icebreaker.
Okay,
Spit those bars.
Yeah, let's spit those bars. Let me see. All right. Let's see if y'all get this. So what's your aim? Trying to separate me from the blood is disrespect. To enforce the new system by rain. Tag my skin with your computer chip. Run your hand over the scanner to buy your dish now. No more fishing for your fish. Kiss the days of the old days, past ways gone, mind blown. Conception, protection. My name on your selection. My name on your selection. Let's see. That's all I got. My name on your selection, but I caught you coming. Pow!
Yeah. I don't even know. I don't even have a clue.
At first, I was
Nope.
going to say Kendrick, but I don't think that's Kendrick.
Nah, that ain't Kendrick. That ain't Kendrick. It ain't nowhere nobody on the West Coast.
I mean, okay. I was the only other guess I'll throw out Pac, but I don't think that's Pac. Ain't nothing like I heard from Pac before.
Is it Wu-Tang Clan affiliated?
Nah.
No.
I said it one more time. So what's your aim? Trying to separate me from the blood is disrespect. Like coming in my home and not wiping your feet on the rug. The Citron Absolute got me bucking. Don't hang with the phony. Look out for the man with the mask on and the white pony. On my back or bill stand, off my toes, always on my heels. Insane, plain soldiers coming in dark by plane. To enforce the new system by rain. Tag my skin with your computer chip. Run your hand over the scanner to buy your dish now. No more fishing for your fish. Kiss the days of the old days, past ways gone, mind blown. Protection, my name on your selection. But I caught you coming. Pow! Who's that peeking in my window?
Oh, man.
Oh, damn, that's crazy. Dude, okay.
Damn.
Nobody now.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's a good one.
Classic.
Yeah, that's a classic. That's Goody Mob. I forgot who's verse. I think that was Big Get verse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shout out to them. Shout out to the Goody Mob, always dropping the drews.
Yeah.
Man. Classic album.
Goody. Yeah, that's a classic album, man. That kind of goes into kind of what that song, Cell Therapy. What year was that? Shit, 90, 95, 96?
Maybe.
Yeah. Talking about shit that's going on right now. You know what I'm saying? Like this new, whatever you want to call it, I hate the term new world order, but like
this one world government,
you know, e-commerce, no taking away the dollar, making everything digital type shit that kind of what they own now.
Yeah, the trick bag is like offering convenience for exchange for like freedoms.
right.
And I think that we've seen people are willing to do that. You know what I mean? In all facets of life, even to the point where people will literally sit in the house, stay at home, as long as they got a check in the mailbox to go get from the government or whatever. People are willing to do that. We saw people being incentivized to stay home a couple of years ago. It was kind of wild to see that. Yeah, very interesting. So, yeah, I think it's been incremental, right? With the technology that we use, the fine print when you download any app or anything, nobody's reading the terms and agreement, right? But all that fine print is like a book. Everybody's just checking that box, not necessarily understanding what you are surrendering. And in a lot of ways, the obvious thing is that, you know, they're selling your data, your information, and yeah, I mean, there's layers upon layers of that, and
Yeah,
also
layers upon
today.
layers of that. So getting back to what we, our main agenda for the podcast: land ownership, off-grid living, black ownership, black land. What would you say? And we could all answer this because I think we all probably have different answers. But what would you say the most valuable lesson that you've learned so far on our land ownership journey?
I mean, I'll jump in there. I mean, for me, it is the power of economics. Because it's for me, it all kind of comes full circle because I'm 41 now, and my life has done this and this, and all of the twists and the turns, and oftentimes I just sit back and I think about how blind and how naive I was about a lot of things in terms of how I utilize my economics, how I utilize my buying power. There was periods of my life where I fell to the fallacies of fashion, or I fell to the fallacy of the party and the club scene, or I just wanted to be investing in this or doing that. But in reality, one of the most valuable lessons that I learned is that ownership is the most powerful thing that you can ever bring to the table. And had I known sooner, I probably would own thousands of acres, thousands and thousands upon thousands of acres. That would have been like my number one investment. Not stocks, not bonds, not mutual funds, not crypto. Those are all great investments. But I would have secured a significant amount of land and had the assets available to develop it. Because having the land is great and owning the land is great. But the very next thing you need to be able to do is you need to be able to develop the land, and you need to be able to put things on the land so that the land can continue to appreciate, not just monetarily, but it can appreciate in the value that it brings to your life. Um, Having a structure that you can go rest and lay your head, and we'll probably talk about this a little bit later, but living off the grid, if things go awry or things go south, having a place that you can go and be comfortable, to kind of ride things out and to regroup, I think is also very valuable.
Yeah, yes, indeed. I agree with all of that. I would say being intentional. It's one thing to excuse me, one thing to articulate something that you want to do, something that you want to embark on. Perhaps the benefit of doing it with a collective is that you really get to sit in that accountability, and you know that it's beyond yourself, right? It's a duty now. You know, you got to come through for your brothers, your sisters, whoever you are embarking on that journey with, and that collective effort for a common agenda. The whole effort is galvanized when everyone is being communicative, and you're like just gaining momentum with every step. Perhaps the hardest part is making that first step, but I think the key to the mission is ensuring that that next step is following, right? And that's a perpetual movement. So just to keep it going, being intentional about what you want to do, defining that, and then just getting to it. So it's been a really good experience, considering I'm almost 40 years old, and I haven't necessarily been a part of something like this, to this scale, right? Where you're actually doing something in real time with a group of individuals and putting your money where your mouth is. It's very easy to come together for nonsense, right? To part, like you were saying, the lifestyle, the party, and the nightlife. Like, there's no shortage of people or money to do any of that. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of how ridiculous it is, that gets figured out in a matter of minutes. But when it comes to something that has true utility and resource, to not only your life, but your circle, your people, your family, your friends, for whatever reason, I don't know, we just have I don't know, a tendency to stumble upon ourselves to try to figure some of these things out, man. It's hard to throw a damn barbecue together these days. You know what I'm saying? You can't even do the cookout right no more. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that we can embark on something like this, purchase something that is going to enrich all of our lives and our beneficiaries and people around us, and through inspiration and things of that nature is dope to see. So I would just say being intentional. That's something that I've really picked up along this journey.
Yeah, dope answers, both of y'all, bro. I would say two things for me. I would say group economics. It taught me that it can be done. You know what I mean? And I don't have to necessarily be always watching my back or watching, you know what I mean? Because us as a, especially black man, you know, depending on where you come from, you have like a stain on your brain when it comes to dealing with other brothers. You know what I'm saying? Especially when there's money involved. You feel me? And that can get squiggly. You know what I'm saying? Real quick, real fast. So I think it taught me that group economics can work and a collective effort can work with black brothers. And then I would also say the second thing, valuable lesson I would say is patience. I'm hella impatient and regarding damn near everything. And like even with this, like especially, you know, we're spoiled on technology, we're spoiled on process. You know, people want to work out. You got quick, you could take steroids, or if you don't have to, you could do a weight loss surgery now instead of going. Everything has been incentivized for a quick fix. And this is one of those things that, you know, there ain't no fast track for it. Unless you already got money like that. But even if you do got money like that, it's still gonna take time to build what you want to build. You know what I'm saying? And have what you want to have on your land. So I would say the group economics and collective effort, and then patience. It taught me a lot of patience, man. Because if it was up to us, we'd have everything. You know, we'd have everybody got their own mansion. Excuse me. We got a lake on there. We fishing and we riding around ATVs on the weekend. We pulling up. You know what I mean? We ain't there yet. You know what I'm saying? But it's gonna happen. Just it's gonna take some patience.
Yeah. And to piggyback off of that real quick, I think the power of vision, because that's how you are able to exercise the patience. Because it's not to say that this process for us has been seamless and efficient and without any issue or any shortcomings or any problems, because it's been all of those things. But I think that because we started with a vision first that everybody bought into and believed in and felt like they were a part of, that helps you to ride out those waves. That helps you to exercise those patience when you don't want to be patient. And then also knowing that I think one of y'all might have said this, that if I fall short, I'm not just letting myself down, but I'm letting down the greater collective. And there's a certain sense of pride that I have, and most of us have, that I don't want to let myself down, but I also don't want to be the one to let everybody else down as well. So having that vision helps you to kind of stay tied into what it is we're trying to do here.
Yeah, I agree. That's very important.
Indeed. And I think a key to holding people accountable in anything is establishing a foundation at the ground level, right? So when we like initiated this movement, I think it was very key for us to do what we did as far as like defining exactly what we wanted to do, and defining exactly what would be required of everyone. And, you know, in some of those initial conversations, you know, everybody didn't make it. You know, there were people that were interested that for whatever reason they decided, okay, this ain't for me right now, or I'm just not really into this for whatever reason. And it's nothing against them, but I think that's important to give people like as much clarity as possible, because I'm a firm believer in not robbing people of the ability to make like a proper choice. And you can't do that if you don't have all the information. So if you can establish some sort of doctrine or some type of declaration to say, hey, this is what we doing, it's crystal clear from the beginning, this is what we doing. Now it can evolve from there, but in the genesis, it is very important to have that established so that everyone is kind of orbiting around that mantra, that doctrine, that whatever it is, that constitution, whatever you want to call it, so that it's crystal clear from the beginning and no one is confused. And then when it's time to hold people accountable, you can point to that so it doesn't become personal. And it's not like I'm picking on you or anything, bro. It's like, hey, this is what we set out to do. It's well spelled out. You were a part of this, you know, putting this together. So I'm only expecting you to do what you said you were going to do. And I would want you to do the same for me. So that's the thing about accountability. It's definitely a two-way street. And, it's a word that's used often, but how do people really react when it's time to be held accountable? And as men, that's important for us, especially in this time, that we not only show and prove to ourselves, but we got people watching. We got peers, we got children, we got the women, we got opposition. You know what I'm saying? So it's very important that we are able to come into this with structure and keep it going. You know what I'm saying? Keep it going, because a lot of things fizzle out for whatever reason. But when you are intentional and you're very and the vision is clear, like you said, I think it makes it more conducive to being sustained, right, perpetually. Start that way.
This paperwork on the line, there ain't no fizzling.
Yeah, indeed.
Shit.
And,
so would you
making sure it's a working document too, because things change when it's something that's new and everybody is coming together with all these different skill sets and all this different knowledge and experience and backgrounds. Having a working document that's fluid, that's not ever changing, but is still changing, not every single day, but continuously looking at it and saying, okay, this is where we went wrong in the past, so here's how we rectified and do better going forward. Or we didn't see that coming, so let's make sure that doesn't happen to us again. So let's continue to add to this document or add to this foundation that we built, so that the vision continues to remain clear, the focus continues to remain clear, and everybody can continue to stay on the same page.
Right. Would you suggest doing it with a group, or would you suggest doing it solo if you could?
Man, that depends. That's tough. Depends on who's around you, right? Who's accessible to you, who you connected with. Because obviously it's not something that you can just do with anyone. You literally have to have like the same interests, in so many words. And I don't know, man. I understand the hesitancy to like jump into something with people, and I get that feeling. I used to get like when we was in school and you had to do a fucking group project, and you're like, fuck, I don't want to be the person doing all the damn work.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like it always ended up that way, and I've been involved in like other efforts aside from this, where you try to pull things together. And you just get that same type of stuff where it's like, people just kind of like just in the cut, you know what I'm saying? For whatever reason. I don't know what that is, but it's annoying as hell. And it's definitely annoying when you lose money. And, I've lost money trying to build with individuals on certain projects and things of that nature. And it just hardens you to the idea of like embarking on something like that again. It's like, you just get a distaste for it. It's already hard enough to do it initially anyway. So when you lose, when you fall off, it's just kind of like, damn, man, you're just a little scorned about it, unfortunately. And, our community, it seems that there's so much mistrust amongst us. It's justified, I get it, so I don't know how to go about finding the right people. I would just suggest trying to educate yourself as much as possible, and that could be like going to different events that are conducive to whatever you're trying to get into. And what I've learned is that they say like the universe conspires, I forgot the saying, but when you lean into certain things, you're going to encounter certain people, you know what I mean? Regardless if it's good or bad, so when you start accessing certain information, indulging in certain activity, you're going to run into people like that are on similar journeys. So, that in so many words, I would attribute that to what we're doing now. We've all kind of been in similar efforts, similar circles. And it's not like upon our initial introduction, we started on this and we're like, hey, let's go get some land. Nah, it had to go through like several iterations of like different activities, different projects, time. You know what I mean? Time is like, time reveals. You get to see people's character over time. You know what I mean? Can they sustain this character that they put out to the public, and, that sort of thing. So it's tough, man. I would say if you can't find a group of people, don't let that stop you. You know, because it's feasible to do amongst yourself, amongst your household, amongst your family, or just people you trust. But even solo, it can be done. So don't let that discourage you.
Yeah. I think both, right? I think that you should have a solo effort just for the sake of your own family foundation. Being the head of your own household, you should be putting your legacy, your family legacy, the last name forward every opportunity or every chance you get. And so you may not be able to do it to the scale that you can if you have multiple partners, multiple people that you go into business with. But it should be an endeavor that you should try to take on. But I believe that the power of the group, it gives you more flexibility. It gives you more range. It gives you more economic buying power. It gives you more creative ideas. I think that to touch on a little bit about what you talked about, what made it work for us, I think, was that there was a natural vetting process that took place. In some form of fashion, everybody was doing different things within the community. So that was the first way that you were able to vet it. You could tell that on the call, everybody was family oriented. So that was, for me at least, just thinking about the brothers that I was potentially going into business with, knowing that some of the most important values to me aligned, which is that you stand on certain pillars of who you are as a man within your household, that you take care of your family, that you're present, that you're at least stable, and then you're active in your community, that you're passionate about doing something positive for the community. I think that those principles made it easier for us to kind of come together and say, yeah, we can actually do this. But like you said, it wasn't something that the first time we all interacted together in one time, we was like, yo, we should start a business and buy some land. It didn't materialize like that. This was an evolution. And because it just kept kind of growing and growing together through the call, I think that it was just like, it just seemed like the natural progression. And so if you decide to go about it with a group, you got to make sure that you properly vet people that share the same values and the same principles. We ain't got to line up religiously or spiritually. The ideologies don't got to necessarily align, but as long as the core values that we live by every single day, that's important to us, our foundation is all solid. Then it makes it easier. Like you said, the universe is going to kind of conspire in your favor to make sure that it starts to introduce different people, different ideas, different situations. But I think personally, the group is, if you can find a group of people, that's going to be the best bet. You should definitely go at it alone, but I would be more in favor of going at it with a group, because the thing is that where I'm weak, y'all are strong. And where I'm strong, some of y'all may be weak. And so I can pick you up when you're down and vice versa. You might be short this month, so I can cover the load. My idea might be decent, but the contribution to that idea that you guys bring to it can make it great. And no man is an island. So when you try to go at it alone, you're going to experience a lot more issues, a lot more errors, a lot more mistakes, some trial and error. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm a firm believer in, hey, if you have to, go in there and just fuck it up. Make as many mistakes as you can so that you can learn how to do it right. I'm not opposed to making mistakes. As long as it doesn't cost somebody their life or their livelihood, man, hey man, make a mess, and then we learn how to clean it up. And then the next go around, oh man, we're gonna be even better than ever. So I'm in favor of the group, but I also believe that the solo effort is just as important.
That's a good answer. I mean, that makes sense. Definitely makes sense. I personally would say, I think I'm leaning more towards both as well. Like you made a good point as far as like your own personal family legacy, you know what I mean? And even with that, that's solo, but you also, it doesn't have to be, 40 acres like we did. It could be small. They got, a couple acres, you know what I mean? 2, 3, 4 or 5 acres for like real cheap. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be this huge ass plot, you know what I mean? This huge ass parcel. I think it could be something small that, maybe you and your wife, or you and your girl, or, you and your parents you can go on and then snatch some land up and do it fairly easy. And then also with the group as well, though, because I'm a firm believer in, if everyone does a little, nobody got to do a lot. So, like you just said, like strengths and weaknesses, and vice versa, and how we can, play on that and utilize everyone's different skill set, because everybody got different skill set, and then so I would say both. I think that's a good way to go about it, because you can always start small by yourself.
Indeed. Slightly off that question, but another thing that comes to mind for men in particular, it offers an opportunity for you to develop another side of yourself, right? It's almost like, you're playing a game and you get to a certain point where you unlock different attributes or whatever, abilities and shit like that. It offers like another level of manhood, in my opinion, because for someone like myself, and I'm sure y'all as well, you grow up in the city, there's a certain shit you ain't thinking about. You know what I mean? You don't. It's out of sight, out of mind. You ain't even thinking about how that particular resource or material got to you. It's just, hey, I know I can go here, I can get it, pay X amount, whatever. So when you embark on something like this, and we've talked about this before, it's almost like you're in an infancy stage of this particular area of activity. So what does that do to you? That sparks the curiosity flame, um, you know, your ambition, you know what I mean? Like, I really want to get this done, you know what I'm saying? That type of thing. So now you got to be resourceful. You got to make calls. You got to get on Google. You got to do all these things, which is outside of your typical day-to-day motions that you go through, right?
Due
Getting on the
diligence.
highway. Yeah. Getting on the highway, going into the corporate office or whatever, doing your job, coming home, cooking dinner, doing your homework with the kids or whatever. And then your night is pretty much concluded. Well, when you spend time in the wilderness, now all of a sudden the simple things you start to pay attention to, and you're like, oh, not only is this interesting, but there's a lot that goes into some of this stuff, right? And if I don't have the ability to, number one, understand this, and another level of that is being able to like do it yourself, like build that infrastructure, whatever it is, but at minimum understanding what goes into it, you're literally like at the mercy of those that can. You know what I'm saying? And that's priceless. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you're sick, you only want one thing. You just want to get better, right? When the power's out, you only want one thing. You just want the power on. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So when you simplify these issues, you start to understand how much you don't know and how much, ability you do not have, because you're just kind of plugged into the production that we sit in. That's what I appreciate about it. It's like another level of manhood, because you literally got to kind of jump out there, stumble around, learn the hard way in a lot of instances. But once you know, it's like riding that bike. You know what I mean? Once you got the information, once you got the knowledge, once you got a little bit of repetition of doing something, you're like, oh, I got it. I can do this. And it's those people, I never understood, when I was younger, people want to live way out in the sticks, you know what I'm saying? Just in the cut, doing their own little thing. But those people are good, you know what I mean? They strong, you know what I mean? They self-sufficient. So city could be on fire, they're gonna be all right, you know what I mean? They know how to feed themselves, protect themselves, different circumstances arise, and they don't have the luxury or perhaps the handicap of sitting around and waiting on people to fix the problems. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that you can diversify your perspective, your skill set, and ability to be able to live in both landscapes, that's powerful. You know what I'm saying? To be able to jump in and out of the matrix, that's what I call it. You know what I'm saying? I think
in and out the matrix.
Yeah, you got to jump in and out. You know what I mean? You got to be like Morpheus. You got to go in and out that thing. You can't just be on one side of it, because you kind of shortchanging yourself. You got to get the full utility of the experience to really optimize who you are, what you can offer, the experiences you have. That's what you got to have, bro. You got to be in and out of that thing.
Mm-hmm. I think it's also helpful to remember that we didn't get here alone. If you, regardless of whatever you believe, we started with one, right? One guy, and then eventually it spread to different ones. But the only way you get to this place that we are today is by a collective, and being able to bring like minds together to kind of allow these ideas to cultivate, to continue to harp or build upon one good idea, like building blocks, right? If you just continue to stack one good idea on top of another, eventually you can build a civilization. But we're like you said, man, if I'm not experienced in agriculture, but I'm experienced in shelter building, well, but you're experienced in agriculture, then combined, we know how to make a civilization. We know how to be able to sustain ourselves, and we can continue to add upon each other's skill set. I can learn from you. You can learn from me. For me, in this collective, it's taught me a lot of humility, because in other efforts that I've been involved in, I've always, kind of like you talked about that group project, I've always had to be the one to spearhead things, to come up with the ideas and then to execute on these ideas. And then other people can kind of just chime in and add into it. But in this situation, I don't have to be at the forefront all the time. I can sit back and I can learn, and I can allow you brothers to educate me and teach me some things that I didn't know, especially when it comes to land ownership and cultivation, because this is brand new to me. Prior to this was an idea that I always had, but it wasn't something that I was ever really taking serious. I just took for granted that I had time. And coming now into this thing, you realize, shit, man, maybe time is not something that I have. It's not a luxury that I can afford to waste. I need to really be taking serious how much information I take in, and then how I use that information to then grow my skill set, so that I can continue to be able to be more valuable to my family. Because, hey, prior to this, I was 100% dependent on everything that the house, the car, transportation, food, like all of these different things. And now the idea of becoming self-sufficient sooner than later is a lot closer than it had ever been at any point in time in my life. And that's because I had to humble myself and yield to people who have more information and more knowledge than I do. So yeah, definitely being a part of a group is definitely real beneficial.
I think it makes you start thinking outside the box too. You know what I mean? Especially being as a black man, you know, black father, you always having to, you know, because sometimes it feels like a lot is on your shoulders, you know what I mean? And then so you have to be the one spearheading everything, and you know, kind of like thinking of everything, or at least if you're not suggesting it, you're still thinking about it. But with this, you know, with several different men, we're doing that together, and that's I don't know if y'all realize that shit, but it's hella rare. You know what I mean? Like hella rare. And you know, to be able to do what we're doing, like I said, it also makes you think outside the box, because like just being self-sufficient, I've never thought of that. You know, I thought I'd live in the city forever until I, you know, till I leave the earth. You know, now I'm thinking outside the box, thinking about other things, like, you know, man, damn, it would be nice if I had it my way on the land. You know, I'm in my early 40s, and if I had a remote job or just living off the land or whatever, man, like I would like to have no bills. I would like to have no rent. I would like to have no utility bill. I would like to come to the city when I want to, and then when I get tired of you motherfuckers, we take my ass right the fuck back. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll holler at y'all later or in a couple of months. You know what I'm saying? And I talked to my lady about that. Like, yeah, it would be nice, man, if we able to just have our, you know, once the kids, you know, get out and we empty nesters, man, that's probably what I'm gonna be doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, we're crying, man. He up on the land. Yeah. I'll holler at y'all this weekend, man. You know what I'm saying? And I never would have thought that.
Indeed.
All my entertainment has to be here. Like, man, now I want peace.
Yeah, let's unpack what you're saying, bro, because what's really got people tethered to the way they got to live now is like all the obligations, the bills, right? Rent, they busting you over the head for that. You know what I mean? That's probably your biggest expense. Yeah. Then you got the car note, gotta have that, especially in Phoenix where we at. You know, it's not. I mean, we have public transportation, but it's not
do that though.
Yeah, it's not comparable to anything like on the East Coast or cities where that's kind of like a foundational infrastructure piece. Gotta have a car. Car notes is crazy these days. You know what I mean? They hitting you over the head for that. And then the food, you know what I mean? Inflation is going crazy. Everything's a little more pricey. So like a lot of what we speaking to right now is in alignment with what I was saying earlier about people like exchanging their freedoms for convenience. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When people come to the big city, it's convenient. You know, you got amenities, you got parks, you got everything. Now it's to the point where, you know, if you go to like downtown or, you know, some of the more populated areas, you'll have like a high rise or a mid rise building with the store, the gym, you know, it's all incorporated in one structure. And, you know, people live
Barbershop.
like that.
Right.
Right. So people have exchanged. And in some ways, it's a double-edged sword, right? It is convenient and it's cool, it's great, it's nice to have, but you've also robbed yourself the opportunity to have the ability, even if you don't have to do it, you no longer even have the ability to provide that for yourself. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's kind of like part of the bait and switch that they getting people with as well, where people are coming to these bigger cities. And it's like all of a sudden, what used to be second nature, first nature to us, right? Our ancestors, at least our grandfathers and things of that nature, won't know how to do none of that shit no more, you know? And it's not complicated. We're just underexposed. So it's a lost art, lost science. It's just something we're not thinking about until we got to think about it. And when you got to think about it, it's too fucking late, because that means the lights is off, the water's fucked up, and you don't know what to do, you know? And it doesn't take long without those essentials for you to be like jeopardized, your family jeopardized. You know, these are simple things. So yeah, you got to diversify. So yeah, bro, we gonna get there, man. We gonna get to the point where we ain't gonna have no bills. We gonna be living, you know, power's gonna be coming from the sun. You know, we in this sunny ass state.
I like to get paid and not have to do nothing with it but eat if I wanted to.
Well, here's the thing though. Like when you strip all that down, just think about it. If you didn't have rent, let's just start with that one. You just take rent out the picture, bro. You start to realize, okay, I really don't need a whole lot of money to sustain the way I want to live.
Right.
The reason why you need all this fucking money because you got to pay for all this shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if you can simplify it, you know what I mean, minimize the debt and the expenses, shit, it don't take a whole lot. It don't take a whole lot, especially if you producing your own power. You know what I'm saying? Now you really doing it. So
yeah. Hey, when you talk about that, what I was thinking about, man, was like we in our community, black men and black folks in particular, we don't normalize it the same way that some of our other counterparts do, right?
Yeah.
Especially in construction, and you could probably, both of y'all, I don't know if you ever worked in construction, Chrono, but both of y'all can probably attest to having some of our counterparts that's like every weekend, it's like, what you doing?
Yeah.
I'm going to my property up north. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Well, what you gonna do? Nothing.
Right.
I'm gonna get out there and I'm gonna work on my garden and I'm gonna tend to some of the animals I got, or I'm gonna ride these quads. And those growing up to me was like, man, that's not white people shit, man. I'm not doing that, man. Past the 40. You know what I'm saying? And now it's like, I envy that, because it's like, man, yeah, I do want to get away. I do need to unplug. I do need to unwind. And so if you have the ability to come in and out of the matrix, right, you can come back and you can come forth. Then what happens is that there's a greater appreciation for the liberties that we have in the inner city, to where, you know, I can have all of these things within one building. I can go put my clothes in the dry cleaner, hit the sauna, the gym, and they probably got a movie theater all in the same place. And then when I'm done and tired of that, I can go unplug and unwind, and I'm not starving because I already know and understand what it takes. And I think that we kind of got it backwards, because we should have started out how we're doing now, which is learning how to survive off the grid, or learning how to survive out in the wilderness, and being able to grow your own food, to catch and capture and kill your own food, to be able to build and maintain a structure, to have the power set up to where the sun is taking care of everything. I have a water source. Like, if we had learned all of these things from the beginning, then what happens is that you don't get so tied up in all of this other stuff. You use what we take advantage of in the city for what it's for. But we also know that I'm not dependent or relying upon it every single day. If I need to get the hell up out of here, I can go and I'm gonna be okay, because I know everything I need to know about how to survive outside of the city, where everything is handed to you and done for you and taken care of for you. So yeah, man, I like that term, man, jumping in and out of the matrix. I envy that now. I envy that. Every time we talk about going to the land, I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, man, let's go. I can't wait to get away. And I start telling people, oh, yeah, I'm going out of town this weekend, going up to the property, put a little work in on the property. It's a sense of pride now. You know what I'm saying? Whereas before, I'd have looked at one of y'all, if y'all had told me this 10 years ago, like, yeah, I'm going to my property, man, and go build a fence and I'm about to start herding cattle. I'd be like,
you're like, yeah, dude, weird.
Dude is weird. Dude is weird, man, for sure. But now it's like, I understand. It makes total sense. And if I had a chance to do it again, I would have started out teaching my son all of those principles. A lot of, and not to say that I'm not teaching them anything of value, but to me, those are the most valuable skills that you can pass along, the skills of self-sufficiency. And that's real self-sufficiency. I always thought it was, I can come out here and I can make money 100 different ways. That's a good skill to have, but that doesn't necessarily make you self-sufficient, because if this economic system that we live in collapses, earning a living is irrelevant.
Right.
Facts. Quickly. And you know, there's a lot of I guess debate about, you know, what you should be stockpiling in terms of like worst case scenarios. People say precious metals, crypto, you know, the obvious one is like ammunition, water, food, right? That goes without saying. But, you know, I think if you just try to put yourself mentally in the worst case scenario and just kind of reverse engineer that, it will perhaps like clarify the picture, like what you need to start prioritizing. Now, I feel like we saw a glimpse of this during the COVID fiasco. And at the genesis of that episode, you know, it was kind of like, that's what really woke me up to the idea of even like entertaining, you know, getting out there, looking for land, that type of thing. Because I started to feel like a sitting duck. And I'm like, well, damn, if everybody's crazy and I'm sitting here amongst this, it's like, how much can I really do? You know, I do have, you know, firearms and things of that nature, but it's finite, you know what I'm saying? And my family has some exposure to that, but we not equipped to fortify ourselves. Well, for a certain period of time, but how long? You know what I'm saying? Like how long? And that's what I like about, like you were saying the other day, Crondo, like shows like The Walking Dead. It shows you like how civility is extremely fragile, and it doesn't take a whole it don't take a whole lot for a child to blow your damn head off. You know what I'm saying? Like if they have the opportunity to compensate for whatever they lack and to fill that void. And that's kind of like a fucked up way of putting it, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, at the most primal level, that's human nature. You know what I'm saying? It's like you gonna eat or you gonna be eaten. You know what I'm saying? That's what it comes down to, survival of the fittest. So, you know, considering the times that we are in now, you know, we just got to be prepared and be proactive about it, you know, and just start to prioritize and diversify our activities. Like you said, start to make it a regular thing amongst ourselves, because all the things we normalize every weekend was just nonsense, and it was like a waste of like resources, you know what I'm saying? And we was doing it collectively, pouring money into the liquor store, at the bar, you know, strip club, whatever your thing is, you know what I'm saying? Like, man, I couldn't even quantify how much I've just fucking blew, you know what I'm saying? You just blow all that money.
It'll make you fucking cry.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, you know that goes into the last question we already talking about it. Given the current climate of the United States, you know what I mean, living off the grid and just becoming self-sufficient and being properly ready, it's become very important.
Yeah. And you know what? This is crazy, right? Because when COVID happened, I was actually in the penitentiary. I was in a Douglas. And a brother told me, he was like, the crazy thing is that if things went awry and they just left us in here, the first thing is you got to be able to survive the uncivility of people, right? People are they're going to come into your room. They're going to try to take your food. So if you can survive that, then what comes next? And one of the things I don't hear enough about, but when people talk, and I missed the episode with the Black Star Prepper, but it was a great episode. But one of the things that you don't hear people talk about is if things go awry, you can have a stockpile of food, but what you should have is a stockpile of seeds so that you can begin to start growing, because eventually that food gonna run out. And we don't know how long this will last. It could last a week. It could last a month. It could last 2 months, 6 months, a year. And I'm like, you could stockpile enough food to last you for 90 days. But when 90 days runs out,
then what?
You can't go to the grocery store. The grocery store not going to have it. And so having a way to repopulate your food supply is just as pivotal as it is to have a food supply, man. So that's one of the things that my lady, she be on it, man. She got all the seeds. She got me into growing stuff. And that's something that we talk about a lot, is how we're going to start the process of growing some of our own food. And I think that that's one of the things that we really need to consider, especially when you talk about living off the grid. If you're going to live off the grid, having power is great. Having water is great. But you got to be able to grow your own food. And so having an assortment of seeds to be able to feed you and nourish you, not just carrots and broccoli and green onions, the stuff that's easy to grow, but even also the stuff that isn't easy to grow or that isn't in every season, I think is also equally important.
Man, that's a great point.
Facts.
That's a great point, man. That's a great point. And one more thing I wanted to add: don't let small things keep you from like making that leap. You know what I'm saying? Like when I first started looking around for land and stuff, I was thinking about silly shit. Like, man, I wonder what kind of bugs they got out here. Y'all see snakes out here? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna let a fucking snake keep me from something that could, you know what I'm saying? Like it's so small, but the simple things, like, especially if you're a man, it's like, come on, bro. Like, we gotta get on the other side of that. On the other side of fear is true manhood. So it's like those little things right there. It's like, bro, it's not like you got to go out here and slay a saber-toothed tiger or no shit like that. You know what I'm saying? It's just getting familiar with the landscape so that you can condition yourself to be able to like navigate these things.
You also think of the other people too, though, like the wrong side of the turn. You also think about, you know, the motherfuckers in the sticks, and am I gonna be surrounded by fucking crazy ass rednecks, or am I gonna be, you know what I mean, some chainsaw motherfuckers? Like you know what I mean? Like that's another.
Get obstacle. A chainsaw with them.
Yeah, at that point.
You know what I'm saying? Fire with fire. At that point, it's like they like Big said, they bleed like us. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yo, don't let that be a barrier either. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, especially for the ladies out here. Like I've read stories of people being like intimidated off their plots of land and things of that nature, especially like single women and things of that nature. I totally understand that dynamic, and that kind of emphasizes the importance of community. But yeah, don't let any of that deter you from your God-given right, your right as a citizen in this country. There's plenty of land out here. And yeah, I mean, ain't no better time than right now to start. You know what I'm saying? It's never too late, you know, forever student. So there's always something to learn. It's always something to incorporate in addition to what you're already doing. And again, when you start really leaning into that, things start to appear, you know, thoughts, people, you know, experiences. You just start stumbling on shit, you know. So that's the good thing about it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, shit, man, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Until next time, man. We appreciate y'all watching. You know, please like, share, subscribe. We also there. Where we everywhere now, right, Kylan?
Yeah, we're on all platforms. Obviously, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio. What's the other one? Overcast. Yeah, anywhere you can get your podcast, you should be able to find us. The other thing, send your questions in. If you have questions, shoot them to the growthspot@gmail.com, or you can hit us on the IG page, which is at Growth Spot Squad. And we're also on Facebook as well. So if there's any particular topics, or if you have a particular question about something we may have talked about and you want to know more, or something that we haven't quite touched on yet, please reach out. And if you want to be a guest, also reach out concerning that as well.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I'll read us out with the bylaws real quick.
The mission statement?
Yeah, the mission statement. There you go. Not the bylaws. That's too much. It got me like a kid right now. It says, we are unified in action to build, protect, and expand fruitful legacy, which is love, equity, growth, ancestry, cooperative, and yield.
Peace.